Hello everyone, my name is Sadi Chauhan. Today I have an amazing guest with me, Anel. She's a project manager working in Dubai. She's very talented, experienced, and communication expert. I believe her insights can help us to learn, earn, and grow. Before we begin, let me thank Anel on behalf of my audience for accepting a request on a very short notice. Welcome, Anel. How do you
Thank
feel
you.
sitting on the other chair this time?
I know it's very exciting, and I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for asking me. I'm really honored to share my experience and some insights. And I'm really excited to be here.
That's great. So, Anil, for our audience, would you like to introduce yourself? Who is Anil and what do you do?
Absolutely. So my name is Anel Sedakmetova, and I'm an assistant PM here in Dubai. And I have a few years of experience in different spheres, but right now I'm kind of getting to know a bit more about project management in construction specifically. And I'm really excited to share some experiences and knowledge that I have in that sphere, even though I've been there not for too long, but I'm pretty sure there will be some interesting insights that might help you.
Well, it's important because there's so many young professionals who need guidelines, so your experience can help them a lot. So let me ask a question, Anil. What made you choose that profession and this domain, construction project manager?
Yeah, so since I was a child, actually, I was always surrounded by all the engineers, like civil engineers and people with a very technical set of mind. And also, originally, I'm from Kazakhstan. And as our country began to develop, I was a child watching it all. So I was very lucky to see how, especially our capital was developing, and it had all these amazing buildings with weird shapes, and they just appeared a year after a year. And I got so fascinated with it. So I was really excited to be a person who would be able to provide some input or help deliver these projects. And that's how I kind of started my journey. And then a lot of different aspects influenced me to be where I am right now.
Great. So, as we all know, there's a misconception, and I believe there are some facts as well. Uh, Being a woman, how do you find working on a site or working in a construction industry?
That's such a good question. But also, I think right now we are in such a great time in just the period of life where so many incredible women and people before us done amazing work, proved themselves, and laid out the pavement for us so we can work in this industry right now and don't face as many challenges and have the same opportunities as our counterparts and just perform the best that we can, and our abilities will be judged solely on our skill rather than where you come from, what background, or what gender you are. Even though sometimes, of course, there would be still some challenges connected with it, but right now I believe it's a much better period to be a woman in construction.
I completely agree that talent, your experience, and skill matters. But talking about Dubai construction industry, it's not very easy to be on a site. So, is there any specific challenge that you face in the past or maybe these days?
It's interesting because sometimes I think with newer generation it's less, but of course there might be few people who would still have like the old mindset, and it won't be very to your face, but you would still feel some kind of prejudice in that sense. And, I think one of the ways to deal with it is not confronting, but rather than just going there and doing your work to the best ability you can, because you're in that position, because people trust you, because you deserve to be there, and proving that you can do it. And I think it's usually this time, in my experience personally, that I got to know people better. They got to know me, and the prejudice would dissipate, and it would be a smoother sailing. But for me, it's more was about the showing the skill and giving it time.
Completely agree. So, it's more about the people that is challenging. What about the environment, weather? Because it's not easy.
Oh, it's lovely here. No, right now, actually, it's very interesting because when we are recording even, it's very adverse weather and very unexpected. with the rain and clouds, but especially in the summer, I think the challenge would be the heat of it all, and where especially people who have projects on site, they need to deal with different times when you can work, different limits, and it does take some time to get used to. And being able to drive would actually really help you here.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I do not just yet, but we're getting there. But it is just getting used to it. And, funny enough, as they say, Dubai is the place where you can experience all the most interesting kind of weathers that the world can prepare you for. And it is preparing you for the future, because right now our weather is getting warmer, the temperature is rising. So in Dubai, they really know how to deal with it. And I think it's pretty good that we had COP28 here, because the world can really learn from that.
So, talking about construction site, I understand it varies from person to person, but how much time do you spend on a daily basis on a construction site? Or maybe it's not daily basis, it's weekly, but what is the percentage as a project manager?
So, in my personal experience, being an assistant PM here in Dubai, the way that I have experienced it is when you have a project that you're working on, I would most probably spend almost every day there, because it usually would start when you have contractor on site, when the actual work's happening, because part of the job is just making sure that the progress is there, and dealing with any questions hand on right there when you're on site is so much easier. And I think it's a great way to deal with different challenges is when you're there and present and can talk to different parties and see what the solution is, rather than over the phone or on the computer. But it's just in my experience.
Thank you, Anel. As I understand you're working as a project manager, can you please give us a brief about your background? What have you studied and what was you working before?
So my journey started when I did my bachelor's in civil and environmental engineering. And it actually was really helpful because it gave me insights on the technical side of the construction. I understood a little bit more what goes into constructing a building, what actually is happening behind the scenes, even from the very start, what calculations need to happen. Then, after also doing a few years of experience as a site engineer, I went to do my master's in construction project management. And this time, it really helped me to understand more about people skills, about all the soft skills that are very important to us. And even though sometimes it doesn't seem like that, especially being a project manager, it's important to understand how to navigate your team, how to develop all these interpersonal skills like presenting or writing, because that's what moves the project to through its stages and to the conclusion. So yeah, that was my background, and it had a little bit of technical background, a little bit of people skills, and I think it all brought me to where I am right now.
Yeah, it completely makes sense. And as you have a background in civil engineering, environment, and then working as a project management, was it a smooth transition?
It was very interesting. It had some of its challenges because I it helped that I was in civil engineering and I worked for a contracting company, because I understood how everything works from that perspective. Going to the consultant side and consultant firm, now I have to learn a lot more about the soft skills that I mentioned before, because it goes to show how you need to write letters, how you need to address the clients, and all the contractual side of it as well, which I've never delved in before. So there were a few challenges that I needed to meet that I think I still need to work on, some of them. But it's also really helpful to have really great mentors. Luckily for me, in everywhere where I worked, I had great management and great colleagues from whom I could learn, and who were so open to tell me about processes, tell me about things that I had no idea about. And all of them were very open-minded, which really, really helped me. And I'm really lucky right now as well, as they are teaching me through every pits and downfalls of our career and our projects, and really helped me to learn and to improve my skills.
You made a really good point. So it's not always our technical skills that are important. All the other skills like communication, presentation, negotiation, all of those skills matters and it will help you to succeed one way or another. So this is a really good point that you work on that. What do you advise if somebody need to improve those skills? Is there any specific book, podcast, or something that need to work on to improve on those skills? Just keeping all the technical skills aside.
Yeah, absolutely. There are so many uh, different platforms from where we can learn all these skills, and so many YouTube videos, of course. And I'm really thankful to the technology because everything is really available for us. And even professional platforms such as RICS or CIOB, all of these different platforms that are construction specific, they still have separate books, separate articles, separate advices that they give in terms of the soft skills. And I think that's really great. And it really shows that it is important for us as professionals to have these skills develop, because as you progress in your career, you will have to present in front of people. You will have to prove your point to different stakeholders or shareholders. And it is really important. There were also few articles and books that I really liked myself that I believe we will be able to talk about it a bit later.
Okay, thank you, Anil. And also this session, I'm not sure if we can call it podcast, but this session is also valuable for all the young professionals to learn from the insights as you share your journey, your challenges, the opportunities, and also all the young professionals, they can even learn from that. Talking about advices and young professional, let me ask another question. There are so many young professionals, especially girls, women who are looking forward to succeed in this industry, either it's a project management or other profession in a construction. What advice would you give to them?
I think one advice that I would give to them that I really would love somebody to give to me when I started this journey is to ask as many questions as you can. I know it sounds a bit beaten up. Everybody heard it, but I think getting as many no's in your life as possible would really help you. It's a bit controversial, and of course, it needs to be within the limit of sanity. But asking questions, going there, reaching out to people and asking them for the opportunities, and you can just start doing it without expecting anything. But just the fact that you go and do it, it first of all lets you get rid of your insecurity, that you build up your confidence. Like, yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I can ask that person that. And just don't be afraid to ask the question. Don't be afraid to go off looking goofy. Don't be afraid of any of that, because that's where you actually learn. That's when that knowledge might actually make it all make sense to you, and you can use it in the future. And it's great skill to have when building network, because when you're reaching out to different people, you get to meet different people, and you never know who would be your next person to success.
It's really a good point because I know so many young professionals, they're scared to ask the questions because back in their mind, it's running that we don't want to look stupid in front of the leaders or managers. But remember, you have two choices, either to be a stupid for a minute or remain stupid forever. So it's much better to ask the question and just get over it. So, Anil,
Absolutely. That's a good point.
yeah, talking about the woman in construction industry, can you share any success story or example where the woman led in construction project? I know personally many, but I would like to hear from you.
Absolutely. There's so many different stories, success stories of such women, but one that I actually really like myself is about the Brooklyn Bridge, because it was initially was meant to be delivered by a fully male construction team, but then with the lead something happened, illness or something like that, and it happens. So his wife, Emily Warren, actually took the responsibility upon herself to make sure that while her husband is getting better, the project is being delivered, that there's communication. Of course, she's done everything with the help of the husband, but it still took guts to actually take on this responsibility and help deliver that project. And she was actually one of the many first women who helped us be in that sphere right now and help us get to have an opportunity to be in construction, whether you want it or not. And of course, there are many other women. Also, there are a lot of great architects, such as Zaha Hadid, who I absolutely adore. And I would really encourage our audience to search up some really great success stories of women in construction, because it could help bring some perspective to your job and you could learn something.
How do you handle any stereotype or biasness in your profession working as a project manager in Dubai? How do you handle it? Or have you ever encountered this?
I mean, I would understand if I were, because I am at the start of my career, and being a woman, it might ask for some questions, and people might have some double thoughts about it. And the way that I would go about it is working your way through it and not giving up, never giving up, because as a person, you are there and you deserve to be there. So just delivering what is asked of you, delivering to your best, always being prepared is what I think is the best way to go about it. Just really showing these people that you know what you're talking about. You are there because of your knowledge. And it would really set the record straight, I think.
Completely agree. There is one misconception that women are not technically sound. What's your stand on that?
Hmm. That's very funny for me, but also I understand that misconception. I think there are even a lot of great different movies and TV shows about that point. But I think that it's doesn't have to be about our gender. I think it all comes down to us as people. And we are as people very different. There are some people who are more developed in one sphere, some people are more prone to the other sphere. And it just, yeah, it comes down to being a person with your own unique set of skills.
So, what resources or networks are available for project managers, especially in Dubai? Do you know any?
Yeah, of course. There's so many great workshops or events happening in Dubai. I'm actually, when I just first moved here, I was so pleasantly surprised to find out about exhibitions happening every month, every few days, that you could go and visit and talk to some really interesting people. So if you are here, then I would definitely advise to Google what's happening and what exhibitions do you have coming up. Some of ones that I know are Big Five. It was a really great exhibition that I've been to, an event, and I've met so many great professionals in construction and just in general that really inspired me for my next steps. But additionally, as I've mentioned before, there are different platforms such as CIOB, ICE, and RICS, and of course, many others, depending on your location, that have different events happening. And they are happening for a specific topic where you can actually develop your knowledge in that specific area. I think it's pretty great. I think sometimes they do online webinars, sometimes they actually do kind of a field trip. So I would definitely say that if you're in Dubai and if you're lucky enough to be in Dubai, then there's so many opportunities to learn. It's actually incredible.
Yeah, true. I completely agree with you. Out of my curiosity, I'm working as a quantity surveyor. Is there any opportunity for me to work as a project manager in future? If yes, then what is the route?
I believe that, especially if you're talking about construction and you have background in construction, definitely you can go into project management. It's just you need to consider that you have the correct knowledge that you need. It might be sometimes be a question of getting another degree, which doesn't have to always be an option. Sometimes you can just go and do an additional course, such as PMP, and just learn a bit more about project management. And if you want to be there, it means that you probably have the skills needed. So if you just have a minimum understanding about project management and something to prove it, I believe that you can go into it.
Right. What is important to consider when you want to be in this industry or in this domain working as a project manager?
From my experience, and I think the whole of this conversation is going to be solely from my experience, I think that it's important to have your soft skills, so to say, extremely developed, because project management involves a lot of working with people, talking to a person, talking to a team, presenting. So I think besides obviously understanding the technical part of it all, it's very important to have these skills developed and not being afraid to talk and to ask questions. And yeah, I believe if you want to be even further in that career, getting again PMP or other certifications such as RICS also does them would really benefit you in your career.
So, Anil, I know you're working for a multinational company. It's one of the well-reputed consultant firm. What is the advice that you have for all the young professionals, how to apply there? This is one. And secondly, do you know any other platforms that you advise?
Yes, I know that the question of how to get a job, especially of your dreams, is very interesting to everybody because everybody wants to work somewhere where they enjoy. And I think that even when I started applying before for some different jobs, the one rule that I always followed is never giving up. Even though you could be applying just on one platform, sending just one email and saying, hey, this is my CV, and that's it. You never follow up. I would not suggest that. I would say follow up, look. As we know right now, we have different platforms such as Indeed and LinkedIn that are really great to find job online. But I would also advise, as somebody once told me, to look on the website of the company because they would also post some open vacancies there. Maybe connect with some people from that company, get a recommendation from them, grow your network. It's all about actually trying to get your job, except just unlike just once applying and forgetting about it. It's trying and getting there because, of course, in the end, all the effort would pay off.
Very true. Your network is your net worth, and it matters a lot.
Absolutely.
Uh, I remember in the start of this session, you talk about books. So, do you have any specific book that you suggest or recommend all the young professionals to read, even experienced people?
Absolutely. I think there can be just one book, but some of the resources that I've mentioned before and articles are available on professional platforms, as well as reading standards, strangely enough, is really helpful. There are a lot of standards for project management, especially, that actually talks on different situations, on how to manage risk, and all these parts that are really essential to your career and your skills. So that's one thing. And also, there are a lot of interesting ebooks by authors Harold Taylor or Simon Hall, and I really, really love their perspectives. And they talk about soft skills, my favorite topic. So I would
That's
really
really
advise
helpful.
you to check them out.
That's really helpful, Anil. I'm definitely going to search about all of these. And you mentioned you're working as a project manager, and it's just the beginning. So, what's your future plan?
I am so excited right now to be in the sphere that I dreamed about. And I believe that the certifications that I've mentioned before would be my next step to acquiring them. And it comes with a lot of learning. And I understand that I have a lot of learning to do. And I think that would be the next steps for me, just learning, 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 learning.
That's great. Uh, talking about your future plans, you know, from the opportunity perspective, what is the future of this domain, project management? And as you know, the competition is increasing. There's so many young professionals are coming in this industry. So how do you see the future of this domain, project management?
I believe that project management is something that you sometimes can take for granted, but it is so essential. And it doesn't have to be just in construction. There are so many different spheres that use the services of a project manager because it really helps the clients to deal with whatever project they have and ensure that every team member is on the same page. And it's just a really that extra step that you can take to ensure that whatever you have in mind will be delivered with the highest quality to your liking. So I think it is the sphere that we'll always need, because no matter how fast the technology will be developed, there will always be people behind it. And it's the people that do the delivering of the work. So yeah.
Following the topic of technology and AI, and maybe a chat GPT, is there any specific technology that you use on a daily basis as a project manager?
Um, to be honest, maybe just in the help of drafting some emails, but other than that, not necessarily at my level right now. I cannot talk about the levels higher because there may be some other tools that they're using. But for us, it is more essential about understanding how to read drawings if you're in construction, which comes with AutoCAD. But something that's specific for project management, I would not say that we are using a specific tool at the moment.
There's so many young professionals who are watching this session. So I would like to ask the question on their behalf. How early the project managers involved in construction project? Is it the time when the project is handed over to contractor, or is it just project is at the very early stage? What do you say about it?
I think it all depends on the client, of course. It depends on when they want to involve you, but there's no limit to it. You can be involved as early as the client thinks about doing something, because they might want to have some advice on which consultant to go with, how to negotiate, and it could be as late as the actual construction of the place. So there are different parts to the construction, and the project manager could get involved in either of them. Of course, ideally, it would be from the start, because it will help every party involved to be on the same page as the client, what their requirements and what parties are involved. But it is also to the discretion of the client.
Thank you, Anil. In the morning, I publish a post on my social media that I'm going to record a podcast with project manager. Do you have any question or suggestion? There were many questions, and few of them I have asked you already. One of the question was, how much project managers earn in Dubai? We will not ask you this question, but in general, like we will have a scenario, a project manager who is having 5 to 10 years of experience. So what is the salary range in Dubai?
I believe it all depends on the company that you're working for, but I would say that it's very competitive. Let's put it at that. But it also, of course, depends on the experience, on the project that you're involved in. But I would say it is more than satisfactory.
It's very political answer.
Isn't it?
Okay, well, whoever asked this question, I will share these insights with you in private message.
Absolutely.
Anyways, thank you so much, Anil. I think this is all for this session. And if our audience like this session and they learn something from this insight, they can share their feedback in the comments. And hopefully we can have more sessions similar to that. So thank you so much, Anil, for sharing your insight. I have learned a lot and I'm very grateful.
Oh, thank you so much. It was so much fun, and I had such an amazing time. Thank you for having me here.
So that's all, guys. See you next time. Bye bye.